Hi. Thank you for attending today's reading. Let's begin. I got into an accident with the worst person ever. I was driving home from work a few months ago. Someone was in my blind spot when I tried to switch lanes on the highway. Ended up clipping her car. I did the right thing and pulled over. Made sure she was okay, etc. It was a minor accident. But I wasn't going to just drive away. Anyways, she starts screaming that I did $7,000 worth of damage on her car. I looked at her car and I quite literally did not even see a scratch. The collision was so minor. I could see a scuff on the tire. And that was it. The car was a 2019 Honda. A good car but not a luxury vehicle by any means. So her claiming I did that level of damage is kind of absurd. Anyways, I'm upset because it was an honest mistake. I did the right thing. And now I think she's going to try and scam me out of a ton of money. I'm a broke college student. I literally can't handle this. I wish I just drove away without giving her my information. End of story. Next story. I kissed my best friend. I female. Am in a 2-year relationship with my boyfriend. Only now it's becoming toxic. We are both straight and he's against anything else. I went to my female best friend house and we got drunk. While drinking I thought about kissing her. I wanted just to try it. Everything she did made me feel more attracted to her. Hours went by and the thought became so strong. I could tell she wanted it too. When it was late and laying down we were subtly touching each other's hips, thighs, neck. She hit her vape and blew the smoke into my mouth, so I pushed my lips to hers and we kissed for a minute. We both agreed we liked it, then said nothing since. I'm now very confused on what to do. This has made me realize maybe I'm not straight. Maybe I'm bi. I'm mesmerized by her and I've never felt like that towards a female. I still love my boyfriend but he's so toxic, controlling, and I can't handle it anymore. I don't want to be with him anymore but I'm still attached to him. But now I'm almost sure I have feelings for my best friend. Even though I thought I was straight. End of story. Next story. When I thought I killed my GF I saw a meme and it reminded me. When my GF and I were like 15 I accidentally shoved my GF to the ground cause I was running and bumped into her and didn't see where I was going. It sounded like she fell hard so I frantically apologized and she wouldn't move. After a while of me awkwardly standing there I go to turn her around and she's unconscious. I try to feel her pulse but because of her chest I couldn't detect a beat. I was convinced I had inadvertently killed her and I started bawling. I held her in my arms all dramatic like and I cried for a solid minute till she started laughing. Hysterically. Like cackling. It turns out she was pretending to be unconscious the whole time. We laugh about it now and she said it was sweet how I cried over her but at the time though I felt really dumb. Learned my lesson. End of story. Next story. I just drank Dr. Pepper for the first time. Got a Dr. Pepper for the first time today. I was pretty hyped because people keep telling me it's a god-tier soda. I took a sip and goddamn. It's probably the worst soda I've tasted. My brain couldn't even process just how bad it tasted. It's like an artificial trash fest of cherry and medicine. Worse is, I had to drive afterwards. And it made me so sick. So here I am. Bad mood. Sick and disappointed after what might just be the worst soda I've tasted. To everybody who told me it was great. Fuck you all. End of story. Next story. My former bully saved my life when I was young. I met a boy who I will call Zachary, who is 2 years older than me. Zachary was a stereotypical bully. Nowhere near Biff from Back to the Future and nowhere near that kid in the black shirt in Phineas and Ferb. But somewhere in between. But he was still ruthless. He likes to pick on you, call you names and exploit your worst fears. And if he gets bored, he likes to start conflicts between best friends by using fake evidence. He seldom shows his good side. But whenever the kids come crying to the teachers, Zach uses his charm and manipulation to make the kid look like the perpetrator and he is the victim, and he wins every single time. This is because Zach is the student head of year and the captain of the soccer, swimming and running team. He bullies me because he sees me as an easy target. Here are some of the things he did to me. When he found out I was terrified of bees, he managed to install a giant bee farm in the school garden, and yours truly was chosen to be the main beekeeper. He manipulated one of my friends to think that I hate him. Complicated. He framed one of my best friends for having alcohol on his possession. In a Halloween costume party, I came as a werewolf superhero and he accidentally set my cape on fire. Then came that fateful day. My geography class went on a trip going whitewater rafting. Can't say where. Fear this will give away my location. And I was in a raft with 4 of my friends and I was sitting in the back with Zach, who ignored me as he was under watch by 3 teachers. I can't fully remember everything that happened before the accident. Just bright sun, lots of water, and me screaming my lungs out. Then suddenly we went over a giant rock that ripped our raft into shreds in an instant. One moment I was sitting in an uncomfortable position. The next I was thrown like crazy in the rapids. Then pain on my head. Then everything was black. I woke up regurgitating water from my chest. I don't know how to explain the experience, but wet. And Zach standing over me with a look of relief on his face. It turned out when the raft got ripped up, I hit my head on a large rock that knocked me out. And it nearly sent me to the bottom of the rapids that would have been my grave if Zach hadn't seen me and immediately dived down to rescue me. Zach, a guy who nearly burnt me and made me face my worst nightmare, had saved my life. I owe him an unpayable department. And after he saved my life, Zach changed almost like a flip of a dime and he apologized to everyone about what he did. I forgave him and we have been friends ever since. End of story. Next story. Psychotic boyfriend from hell. This will be a long one. But the ending is actually insane. In my senior year of high school, one of my mutual friends introduced me to a guy 3 years older than me. We got along quite well, and eventually started dating. Since he was a couple years older, he told me he was in college. He had a nice little sports car and took me all around town. And always insisted on paying. We'd go to the amusement park, hibachi restaurants, karaoke. We ate out about 3 to 4 times a week. And he'd never let me pay. Summer came and went and soon I started school at my college. After I realized how expensive school, books, rent, food and life in general was, I started to question where he got his money. I guess I was a naive high school kid who didn't understand how expensive life was. He told me he was in a co-op internship program at his prestigious school and got a very high-paying finance job, and they pay him very well. The school he told me he went to was about an hour away from mine, and he would often visit me. One day, I had a bad period cramp and headache from the cramping, and he drove to me to bring me lunch, Tylenol, and keep me company. He told me he had plans to go to another city. I knew his ex was going to be there, but he assured me that it was some other huge event where tons of mutual friends were all going. We had planned a double date with his best friend and his best friend's girlfriend the day after he got back. He gets back from his trip and his attitude towards me completely changes. He wasn't a nice, gentlemanly and loving guy any longer. For example, on the double date, I went to the bathroom and he was deep in conversation with his best friend. But as soon as he sees me, he mouths, "I'll tell you later," as I'm walking towards the table. On the date, it was the first time I'm meeting this friend, so I'm trying to not make it awkward. His friend keeps bragging about how he lifts at the gym over dinner. So in a joking tone, I turn to the girl and say, "Wow. Lucky you." At that comment, my then boyfriend lost it. He started telling me that I'm ungrateful and I should be lucky that he's dating me, not his friend's girlfriend. I started explaining how I was just joking, but he cut me off mid-sentence and told me to just shut up. He was my ride home, so I just held back my tears and bit my tongue. I couldn't believe that this guy who would drive over an hour to see me just a week ago would humiliate me and snap at me like that. Again, I was young, stupid, naive, so I didn't address it on the way home, thinking that maybe he had a bad time in the other city or a bad day. A week passes and he texts me, "My friend is in a situation and needs some advice. He is dating a girl locally, but he's also in love with a girl from another city. What should he do?" I remember this so vividly because I was sitting on a bus on my way home from class and was trying to hold back my tears until I got home. But I just responded, "Just go date Kathy." Not her real name. Quote, "He had the audacity to ask me, 'How did you know I was talking about me?' Anyway, we finally broke up, but he decided to drive to me that night for one final talk. And for me to give him his things back. Whatever I had in my apartment of his. He admitted to cheating on me when he went to his ex's city. And I had figured, out of pettiness and because my feelings were hurt, I flung a piece of receipt paper at him when we were done our talk at the restaurant. He was so mad at me for disrespecting him, because I flung a piece of paper at him. He scolded me and yelled at me and told me to never disrespect him again." That's the normal part of the story. Here is where it gets wild. A week after all of this goes down, his best friend from the double date messages me on Facebook and asks me how I'm doing. I honestly replied that I wasn't very good. He then told me that my ex wasn't the person he told me he was. Apparently his grades were so bad in high school that he had to drop out. So he forged a fake acceptance letter and mailed it to himself. His parents were so impressed that their pathetic son made it into college that they bought him a car. They also wire about $20,000 to him every year for classes and rent. And that is where he gets his money. In his free time, he works a part-time job as a security guard for more dollar. I asked his friend why he was telling me this and he said 2 reasons. Firstly, when he met me on the double date, he said I seemed nice and didn't deserve to be lied to. Secondly, because his friend's parents let my ex live with them and have been noticing that whatever cash they leave around on the kitchen counter, loose coins and couple of small bills, would keep going missing. They all knew it was him. So they are planning to kick him out soon. I confronted him. He told me to not tell his friends. He had lied to all his friends to keep up the facade. Because if they heard it from anyone besides him, they wouldn't ever want to be his friend again. He said the apology and explanation should come from him. So the next day, he posts a long-ass post, almost as long as this one, on his Facebook wall. My best friend comes over and we realize he made the post private only to me. I just blocked him and moved on with my life. Thankfully we broke up in a few months. Him cheating on me was a huge bullet dodged. End of story. That is all for today. If you want to support my automated channel, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. See you tomorrow.